Hey guys, welcome to Reddit Brew. We're back with part 2 of the Just No Mill wedding cake saga, so if you missed part 1, I highly suggest you check out that first. Let's find out the conclusion to this giant, unnecessary debacle, shall we? Update 5. I work at the bakery every weekend during the day, but my shifts switch throughout the week depending on my schedules at my other jobs and what needs to be done. Sometimes I work the front helping customers, sometimes I strictly handle the appointments for bridal/special events, and sometimes I just bake. We've been a little short-staffed lately, so I have been working from 3 to 8 a.m., cleaning, doing prep work, organizing, baking, etc. When I work late, I keep the front lights off and the doors locked. I have even started parking on a well-lit street for safety reasons. And since our kitchen is off to the left, you can't see the lights unless you're right up against the door. Basically, the bakery looks deserted. It's usually really quiet when I work these hours until about 6-ish, when people start lining up for the breakfast rush. So when the phone rang at 4, I ignored it. My manager and my coworkers have my number, and we usually communicate via text. My job is to prep for the morning, and we have an answering machine. The phone rings again at 4:05, then 4:10, again at 4:15, same at 4:20. I am elbow deep in dough and getting annoyed at the interruptions. The calls keep coming 5 minutes apart. At 5 a.m., I snap and answer. Good morning, this is Bakery. OP speaking, how can I help you? Finally! I have been calling for over an hour. Why you no answer? Never mind. I need to speak with someone in charge immediately. Internal monologue. That accent. Okay, don't jump to conclusions. It might be someone else with the same accent. I apologize, ma'am, but we're closed at the moment. So, no, don't lie. You are not closed. Very sorry, ma'am, but we are. Our hours are X to Y. Someone will be available to help you then. No, that is no good. The people who work then are bad people. Unprofessional and bad. You help me. I need information on Dill's cake. Internally, fuck this bitch. Ma'am, we are closed. I cannot help you with anything right now. Our hours are X to Y. If you would like to call back then, no. I need help now. You lie. I know you are open now. Open the door. I can see the lights on. Now, I am going through some stuff right now that has me genuinely terrified about 80% of the time. I am an anxious mess 95% of the time. The only way this woman could see the kitchen light is if she is at our front door with her face pressed against the glass. So I overreact, freak the F out, hang up on her, and proceed to have a panic attack over the sourdough. The phone rings 2 more times, mid-panic, before going blissfully silent. I text a warning to my manager and my coworker, who is due to come in and help me open. My coworker texts me back a few emojis and a WTF, and my manager calls to tell me that she's on her way, and she wants me to stay inside. My manager got there about 15 minutes later, and there was nobody on the property but me. There were about 20 or so cigarette butts right outside the door though, and I had swept the entrance before I went inside, so we think Mill was camping out for a good while. My manager decides right then that we're no longer allowed to open or prep alone, and there have to be at least 2 people on shift at all times. We also left a message for the owner and Dill about what happened, but my shift ended before either of them called back, so I don't know if anything came of the calls. Update 6. After Crazy Mill decided to scare the shit out of me by lurking creepily in the shadows while the bakery was closed, the owner had enough. Apparently, she called the couple, explained what had happened, and told them that she was going to call the police the next time Mill showed up. She said she would understand if they switched bakeries, and she would refund their deposit with no problem, but she would not allow her employees to be harassed or scared. Dill apologized for Mill's actions, assured her there would be a conversation about her behavior, and didn't want to switch bakeries because both she and future husband were impressed with the professionalism and safety given to the cake. They also supported the owner's decision to call the police. Apparently, future husband seemed to waver a bit on this point. but he got on board when the owner offered again to refund their deposit. So that's the end of it, right? The happy couple talked to the mill, she understood where she went wrong, and all was right in the world. Ha ha. Since the mill learned that just showing up isn't going to get her anywhere, and she was told the police will be called if she comes back, she's taken to calling randomly. Our new line when she calls to make changes is, "I'm sorry, we no longer make changes on cakes of this magnitude over the phone. Please come in during normal hours so we can assist you." But it doesn't stop her from repeatedly calling. The conversation is always the same. We answer, she gives us the Dill's name, and asks when her next appointment is, or tells us to make changes. We tell her we can't give out that information, and give her the aforementioned line, and she asks to speak to someone in charge. We put her on hold, she hangs up, and she calls back a little while later to try again. All this over a cake. I will write the update on the tasting and design appointment when I have a little bit more time. Oh, and I did get permission from my manager to talk to Dill about this sub. I wrote the information on a card like Mad Pirate Bippy suggested and handed it to her with an explanation of what it was. I offered to delete the posts if she found it upsetting or invasive, but she said she was tickled pink about it and thought it was funny. Edit, while I would love to simply just hang up on the woman, tell her I know who she really is, pretend that I'm Borat, or otherwise screw with her, I have to toe the line. My boss and manager run the show, and I follow their lead. I am just an employee. Update 7. Dill and future husband had their tasting and design appointment over the weekend. Mill called in the middle of it, and future husband left to handle her. Dill started to angry cry, and I tried to comfort her. This is when I told her of the sub's existence, and she was really amused at the fact that I wrote about her because her monster-in-law is so awful. She said none of her friends believe anyone can be this insane. I gave her the link and said we are her people and will believe her. She said she mostly uses Tumblr and Pinterest, but she might post or browse, and gave me permission to not only continue writing, but also gave me more detail. The happy couple is having an Alice in Wonderland tea party theme wedding. They're having the ceremony and the wedding reception at a small park. Mill is desperate to have the ceremony at her church and has put a deposit on a hall for the reception. She is pushing for a religious ceremony and has invited members of her family and church that the couple don't even know. The cake the couple settled on is one of our colorful and less traditional ones. They're having us decorate it with scenes from Alice in Wonderland and are using the Mad Hatter and Queen of Hearts as cake toppers. I saw the toppers, so cute. Their guest list is only 40 people, so they ordered a cake that serves 50. Mill keeps trying to change the cake to a 3-tier classic cake design. Since she doesn't actually know what the finished cake will look like, she keeps calling and saying she wants us to forget what was said and do what she's saying. She wants it all classic white with edible beading, and the cake has to serve 200. That is not a typo. The couple has a guest list of 40. The mill has added a full 160 people to it. While I was trying to comfort her, Dill informed me that her mill has gone crazy since they got engaged. She was always traditional and stuffy, but went nuts after the engagement. She keeps leaving messages and showing up at their house uninvited. Future husband is waffling a lot because he feels stuck between two important women. And apparently he tried to get Dill to let his mother plan more of the wedding because his mom couldn't afford to have the wedding she wanted. I gently reminded her that this was her wedding, not her mill's, and she laughed. She apparently told future husband he could go marry his mother if he was so keen on giving his mother the wedding of her dreams instead of his future wife. She said she was getting really frustrated at the both of them. The designer who was doing the cake actually laughed at this and said his boyfriend was a mama's boy, but reformed, so he sympathizes. I told her I also had a terrible future future Mill. Dill said that future husband is getting better at saying no, and she really appreciates how much we're protecting the cake. Future husband came back looking angry, and the bitch session ended. We went back to details and flavors. At the end of the appointment, the Dill hugged us both. I quietly reassured her that the cake would be safe before they left. Dill and I exchanged numbers, and we have texted a bit. Future husband is apparently developing a baby spine, and Mill is not happy. Bonus! Mill is doing the phone version of "I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you." She knows she is banned and hasn't stopped calling. Now, in addition to trying to change the cake and find out appointment details, she's trying to add 8 loaves of sourdough to the order. What the fuck, lady? Edit. Mill has been uninvited to the wedding. Dill told future husband that if Mill is coming to the wedding, she won't be. He agreed. Dill hired security to check ID, and 2 of them are going to accompany the cake when it's being delivered. She paid for this herself and told the security that only she, not future husband, can change the approval list. Update 8. My week has sucked. I got fired from one of my jobs and had a breakdown. My neighbor has taken to frying fish in the hallway for some unknown reason, and the smell invades my apartment. I'm broke, stressed, and sleep deprived. I ran out of Nutella and I'm PMSing. Basically, I'm at my limit. So when crazy cake obsessed Mill decided to act like a corn-studded turd, I ran out of patience. At about 5 this morning, Mill called. My coworker was busy, so I answered, and we went through the same conversation we've been going through all fucking week. She hangs up. Around 8:30, she tries again. I answer again. Then at around 10, we have the following conversation. "Good morning, this is Bakery. OP speaking. How can I?" "You again? Why are you always on the phone?" "I work here?" Note, I am very tired and this confused me. I actually questioned if I was at the right job for a brief second. "I want to speak to someone else. Give me someone in charge." "My manager isn't here, but I can have her call if..." She hung up. Well, you too, lady. A little while later, I'm helping a customer when I notice my teenage coworker getting upset on the phone. She is 16 years old and new to counter work. This is her first job, so she hasn't had her soul sucked out through retail work yet. I figured she's dealing with an irritable customer and gesture to let her know I can take the call. My soul was lost to the ether long ago. She shakes her head at me and hangs up. More time passes. I overhear my teenage coworker getting upset on the phone again, so I pause and eavesdrop. She keeps repeating that she's sorry, but there's nothing she can do over the phone. A few seconds later, I can hear yelling through the phone even though I'm several feet away. There are customers in the store, and our coffee machine is going off. Teenage coworker seems close to tears, so I grab the phone from her and listen. It's Crazy Cake Mill, of course. Fucking girls are so unprofessional and unhelpful. You young people are awful. You're all too busy on spreading your legs for your boyfriends on the computers to understand how to give good customer service. Now, are you going to fucking help me, or do I have to take my business elsewhere? I would think it would be best if you did take your business elsewhere. What did you just say? Who is this? What happened to the other girl? I said, I think it's best if you take your business elsewhere. My name is OP. I'm the person you will be dealing with from now on, unless you prefer to speak to my manager. You don't want my business? Not particularly, ma'am. What? I want to speak to the other girl. You are a nasty, nasty woman. This is not how you treat people. I usually pride myself on my patience, but I snap and step out of bounds. Ma'am, I heard the way you were speaking to her, and you should be ashamed of yourself. She's 16 years old, and since you seem incapable of being polite, it's best that you deal with an adult. From now on, your only interactions will be with the manager or me. She tries to argue, and I cut her off. You also have been told repeatedly that changes cannot be made over the phone. We do not make changes to wedding cakes over the phone, specifically to avoid what you're trying to do. If you have concerns about the cake, I suggest you discuss it with your son and future daughter-in-law, since it's their cake, not yours. You are not the customer. You are not allowed to make changes to their order. It will never happen. Now, is there anything unrelated to your son's wedding I can help you with? No. She hung up, and I called my manager right away and explained what happened. I was expecting to get in trouble, but she was fine with it. She said she'd be sure to tell the owner what happened and told me not to worry. I also sent a warning text to daughter-in-law. We've become sort of friends since her tasting and design appointment. I told her I snapped at her mill. She knows for sure that she's been caught trying to change the cake again, and I apologized for any blowback. She texted back that she was sorry she missed it, and joked that she might want to hire me as one of her security guards for the wedding. Mill didn't call back during the rest of my shift. Seriously though? This week. Update 9. The wedding has been called off. Crazy Cake Mill has only called 5 times that I know of since I called her out on her bullshit. I answered twice and she hung up both times. My coworkers who answered the other times hung up on her as soon as they realized who she was. The bakery owner finally agreed to let us just hang up instead of feeding into her fuckery. After the cake tasting and design appointment, Dill and I became fast friends. We bonded over our shared love of fairy tales and the fact that we both had to deal with batshit mills. I kept her updated on any calls from her mill, and she vented to me about wedding planning. A couple of days ago, she came into the bakery for coffee. She seemed upset, so I talked to her over my lunch hour. She told me her future husband has been asking her to not only re-invite his mother to the wedding, but to let her become more involved in the planning. She asked my advice, and I kind of evaded the question. I didn't evade it because I didn't want to help her. I just know that I'm not the most unbiased person to ask due to my own shitty experiences with an ex and his psycho mother. Run, Forrest, run! Is not the most empathetic or helpful advice to give to someone blinded by love. Instead of telling her to flee like Bambi from a forest fire, I told her to try to objectively look at her future. Think about what she wanted in her relationship and the things she was willing to sacrifice or compromise on to maintain her relationship. She thanked me, said she was going to think about things and then talk to her future husband, and that she would keep me updated. Dill called me a little while ago in tears. She ended things with her future husband. She found out he was playing both sides. He was telling her that he supported whatever decision she made, while telling his mother that he agreed that Dill was being too controlling, and that he would try to talk to her into allowing her to attend the wedding. Dill and future husband argued, and he accused her of not understanding the importance of family to Greek women and said he didn't want to get married if his mom couldn't attend. When she agreed that the marriage was a mistake, he tried to backtrack and say he was bluffing, but she stuck to her guns. Everything is in her name, including their house, so she's staying with her sister while he moves back in with his mom. Dill is coming in tomorrow to make a few alterations to her cake order. She said she's changing her wedding into a celebration of freedom. She's inviting all her friends that she had to cut off the guest list to make room for his friends and family. She says I'm invited too. She says she's increasing the cake size to fit her bigger but more casual party, and also as a low-key you to her mill. Since the relationship is over, I'm pretty sure I won't have any more updates. Sorry llamas, but here endeth the saga. Edit. Dill has friends helping her ex-future husband move to get him out quicker and to prevent him from screwing with the house. She has her dogs with her, so he can't take them either. She already spoke to a lawyer about how to get possession of the car she lets him use back, and changed the Netflix passcode because, in her words, him if he thinks he can benefit off my sweat. Edit 2. I told Dill about the overwhelming support and response, and she sends her thanks. She is still in the rage phase of the breakup, but is starting to feel sad and betrayed. Ex-future husband has already started with the normal manipulative bullshit to get her back. Apologies, begging, offers of counseling, claiming it was a misunderstanding. She hasn't fallen for it yet. ex-future husband has moved out, and she was going to check on the house and replace the locks when she left the bakery this morning. Final update. Crazy cake bitch is a petty and malicious bitch. A few things she has done since the wedding was cancelled. Called my manager and accused the chubby slut with a scar of ruining my wedding. Yes, she referred to it as her wedding. No, I didn't get in trouble. Tried to place an order for her own wedding cake under her own name. We declined. Stood in the parking lot screaming obscenities at the door until my manager called the police. She left before they arrived. Stole ex-Dill's garbage cans, kicked over ex-Dill's potted plants, tried and failed to kick over ex-Dill's mailbox, poured an unknown substance on her lawn, sent a letter to ex-Dill's work accusing her of malpractice. She works in the medical field, posted a ton of statuses on social media about blood being thicker than water, revenge being a dish best served cold, and something about these days not understanding family values. She ended each post with ex-future daughter-in-law's name should see this. Left a note taped to ex-Dill's door threatening to take her to court over the car. The car that is in Dill's name because Dill paid for it. Tried to enter Dill's house while she was at work. The keys didn't fit, so she tried to pry open the garage door. When that didn't work, she stole the garbage cans I mentioned earlier. Dill saw all of this on her security footage. Has left multiple voicemails on ex-Dill's phone stating that she's willing to try to resolve things through her church if she will just learn her place. In case you were wondering where her quit of a future husband is, he's still trying to get Dill back. He has sent her flowers and balloons at work, made a new email account to contact her with, promises of cutting his mom out of his life, etc. She has not wavered once. Oh, so the accent was supposed to be Greek this whole time. Well, someone described it as discount Slavic, which I totally agree with. Again, sorry for that atrocious accent. I hope I didn't offend anyone with it. But on to the story. I love Dill. Strong-willed Dill that knows her self-worth. I also love that she still decided to get the cake and celebrate her freedom with her friends. I just want to quickly point out both sides of this because some of you disagreed with me on my assessment of future husband in part 1, and some of you thought I was too hard on him. So I just want to say that I know that for some people the importance of family and parental bonds trumps everything else. And future husband was raised by this awful woman and has been manipulated his whole life, and I do sympathize with him on that. But Dill does not come from a background like that, and she does not have to accept it. And it's her prerogative to not want to live a life being second to her husband's mother. Maybe she didn't realize what she was getting herself into at first. And it's definitely best that she figured that out before marrying into it. And now ex-future husband can find a wife that will be accepting of his preferences. So I personally really liked the outcome of this story. I think everything that happened was definitely for the best. It does seem like poor OP is going through a lot though, so I really hope better days are ahead for her as well. Also, I hope Mill gets that roundhouse kick to the face soon. She really needs one. Dill needs to report her ass to the police. But anyway, I'll stop talking now. I really hope you enjoyed this little Just No Mill mini saga. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. I truly appreciate when you do, and I will see you in the next Reddit story. Bye!